Hi, my name is Cameron Akers, and I'm going to be talking to you today about hollow earth theory. Now, most of you are going to be like, oh my God, that's crazy. There's no way the earth's hollow. Well, if you listen for like maybe 6 minutes, it becomes very plausible. So the first thing you want to look at is this thing right here. This is called a Rodin's coil. And how a Rodin's coil operates is you're going to have coils wrapped around this donut-like shaped object. One here, and then dead spaces in between. Now these coils each contain a positive and negative charge, and in turn they generate a magnetic field in these dead spaces, which then generates almost lift. Well, it does generate lift. There's videos on it, you can see it lifting. Well, with that being said, I submit to you that Earth is nothing but this gigantic Rodin's coil, and it functions just like that. So to begin our investigation, we'll start at the birth and death, well, the death of a star, actually. You got to start with death. The sun has to die in order to create life. So you have a star, and it burns brightly, and eventually it's going to supernova. And when it supernovas, you're going to get a shot of gamma burst radiation going this way and a shot of gamma burst radiation going that way, emanating from both of the poles. Now when that happens, the star is beginning to die. It becomes a dwarf star. When it becomes a dwarf star, it's very condensed. And what happens is it starts attracting gases and other materials from around the solar system. And we're going to start out with actually Jupiter as a good example of that. So Jupiter is this huge gas planet. So it has the star in the middle that burned out. Now it's nothing but a dwarf star, so it's attracting all this gas around it. And through this gas, it's always going to have that, where those two gamma bursts shot out, there's always going to be a vortex of energy swirling back and forth between this. So it's going to be spiraling clockwise this way, and the other field will be going counterclockwise against it. Now the stronger the two fields will dictate which way this planet turns, which most likely will be clockwise because the positive charge is going to outweigh the negative. So it's going to be turning clockwise, and it also has that ring around it, and that's the important part. So it has the gas and it has the ring. The ring is the actual asteroids or whatever it is, the dust, anything that actually forms that ring. It's getting pulled closer and closer together. Now, that's a relatively new planet being created. That's why it's very gaseous. That's why you can't step on Jupiter. Now, we'll go to Saturn. That's the next step. So you got Saturn again, star in the middle. You've got the hole at the top with the vortexes. This one going backwards. This one going in like that. That one going in like that. Clockwise, counterclockwise. Now with Saturn, this is where it gets really special, is you have these concentric rings around Saturn. And those concentric rings are the basis for how Earth was formed. So now these concentric rings start to be pulled together by this magnetism, and they create a planet just like Earth. So now we go to Earth. And Earth is nothing but this. You got this side, and you've got this side. In the middle, you've got your sun. You've got your vortex energy coming through Earth. And this is held in all these concentric, these used to be concentric circles. This used to be a huge ring, and now it's condensed into this actual matter of this planet. So now you have the vortex energy, you have the star, and this will also explain why they used to think the Earth was flat. Because if you look, all the flat Earth descriptions say the Earth was a flat curvature shape. Well, that would explain something. If you lived on this side of the world, on this hemisphere, you would be like, oh, look, it is flat. Look, it curves and everything. Because you see this gap. Or you don't even see the other side of the gap. I don't know. I've never been to the North Pole. But that's why they used to think the Earth was flat. And then it became spherical. And now, if people open up to it, it will become hollow. Which eventually you'll see it's the truth. I know it's the truth personally. I don't know how I know it is. I just know it is. But at the same time, you've got to start to wonder, is that why, is drilling the oil, is that affecting these people on the other side? I don't know. That's crazy. If there are people on the other side or on the inside of this. But this is how hollow earth theory works. It is functioning just like a giant Rodin's coil with a huge grid of magnetism. And another good example of that is if you were to look at the Earth and you were to look at the magnetic ley lines that run across the Earth, it looks very similar to a Rodin's coil, which explains why the pyramids were at those intersecting points of the magnetic ley lines all around the world. It's a conduit for energy. There's a lot of energy flowing in that area. Again, free energy is completely possible. They just don't want us to have it for some reason right now. Because if you have free energy, you lose control. But with that being said, this hollow earth theory, as crazy as it sounds, is actually most likely correct. Here's the supporting evidence. Now, I'm not asking you to believe me. I want you to go out and research these things on your own and see if that's a plausible idea. Again, I'm just an idea man, and I would love to speak to this Mark Roden guy and give him some more of my ideas, and I'll be making some more videos, one specifically on artificial intelligence and the basis for that, which is also very simple. And anything, if you really want to get started into this, start with Roden and start learning some divine math and some sacred geometry, and it becomes very apparent how this is possible and how this functions. It makes a lot more sense for a planet to function like this than some condensed huge planet with all this magma and then a huge ball of iron that spins in the center and turns the entire planet. I mean, that kind of makes sense, but this makes a little bit more sense when you think about it in terms of magnetism. That's the element that holds, not the element, that is the force that holds everything in this universe together. Anyway, that's it.